Chapter 40, Malachi Jones. I spent the afternoon with Frick sitting in a shaded area near his star cruiser. He had named the ship Tobacco Road, probably the only spaceship in history to have the word tobacco in its name. Frick asked, "Where do you go from here?" "I'm headed to Sigma 2. I had planned to make Sigma 3 my second stop, just because it might be nice to have a calm between the two storms. But now that I've been resting for over 11 years, I think it might be best just to go to the next hellhole and get it over with as quick as possible. If all goes well, I'll be on Sigma 3 in about 25 years. Frick asked me if I would like Tobacco Road to take him over to Sigma 2. I replied, "Thanks, but I'll be using my SPNV. Are you going to be trying to set up any accounts on Sigma 2? "Not this trip, maybe in 100 years or so when things have calmed down a little. If they ever do, it's even more savage on Sigma 2 than it is on Sigma 4. I had a lot to look forward to. I materialized in a field of barley. It was early morning and the temperature was a little on the cool side. There was a breeze coming from the west and a lone white cloud was drifting by high up in the sky. Such a peaceful feeling. Maybe Frick was wrong about this planet. I walked out of that field of barley into a field of gold. It was straw the color of gold. A path led through the straw and into a nearby forest. I followed it, thinking this was just as good a way as any to get started on my dairy inspection on Sigma 2. At the end of the path, I ran into Malachi Jones. Malachi had been on Sigma 2 for over 5,000 years. He was an exiled Centaurian. What he had done to be exiled, he never told me, but he hoped to go home one day, if only to show his fellow Centaurians the plays he had written. A Centaurian visitor to Earth in the 20th century had bought a copy of Shakespeare plays in the town of Gloucester and had taken the book back to Centauri with him. The Centaurian visitor had been Malachi's father, and after reading the plays, had given the book to Malachi. Malachi loved all the plays, especially Macbeth, and somehow came to the conclusion he could write better plays than Shakespeare. It became an obsession with him, and I don't know if this obsession had anything to do with Malachi's exile. Centaurians don't like extremes except one, and that's the extreme longevity of life. Malachi lives in the forest in a cabin built with his own two hands. There's only one room upstairs. It's where he writes his plays. It has a big window facing out to the front yard, and Malachi writes feverishly at his desk. And as Malachi writes feverishly at his desk, he looks up every once in a while and gazes out at the panorama of hills and trees and valleys. During his 5,000 years on Sigma 2, his house has been burnt down hundreds of times by renegades of all persuasions. Malachi just keeps rebuilding his house. Sigma 2 is not simply a binary operation. There are dozens of competing gangs, some of them sometimes working together, other times in deadly competition with each other. Malachi has also been married 37 times and has 132 children and over 500 grandchildren, and beyond that, who knows? I looked over some of the plays he had written. His favorite, his retelling of Macbeth, was entitled Big Macbeth. Another one was Virginia Hamlet. Then there was King Lear Jet. His best line, "What man not sitteth when he shitteth?" Chapter 41, Melting Point. Sigma 2 was the closest of the three populated planets to the star Sigma Draconis. Overall, it was mostly hot year-round, its climate similar to Las Vegas in the summertime. But there were a few green areas in both the extreme southern and northern latitudes, where there were trees, bubbling brooks, and rolling hills. Malachi lived in such an area. Malachi's lack of literary imagination did not affect his culinary skills. He had chickens, and though he didn't eat meat, his original recipes were heavy with eggs. Combine this with fresh edibles from his fruit trees and vegetable garden, and you have the makings of true culinary delights. And for someone like me, who for the past 35 years have been subsisting on nuts, berries, and then a prison diet, it felt like a godsend. He asked me what I thought about his plays. I didn't have the heart to be brutally honest with him, so I tried to subtly redirect the subject. I said, Centaurians have a hard time dramatizing things. What do you mean? Malachi seemed sincerely interested. Well, Centaurians don't have the advantages of humans on Earth. They rarely get sick. They never have any physical disabilities. If they do, they fix them. They never have money problems. They tend to be totally satisfied with what life gives them. The only danger they face is boredom, and that happens only rarely, and when it does, they go to the vegan system for the cure, I said. I never thought about it like that. Hey, I've got an idea. Why not write a play where the boredom spy in the vegan system is destroyed by an alien civilization, and as a result, Centaurians have to deal with the ramifications of their boredom. I tried to imagine light bulbs coming on in Malachi's head. Malachi replied, that idea does have some possibilities, but is it worthy of a greater Shakespeare? We won't know until you write it. After a few relaxing days at Malachi's, I told him it was time for me to get on with the mission. He said he wanted to accompany me. It'll be dangerous, and though your life won't be threatened, you can still suffer indignities of all kinds. As you well know, these are not nice people we may be running into, I said. I know them well, but I haven't been out of this neck of the woods in a long, long time. I feel that adventure is calling my name. And oh, by the way, I'd like to see if a cow still looks like a cow, Malachi responded. I gave him one last chance to reconsider. To do a thorough job, we'll have to at times leave the green areas. That means doing the job in hot and brutal conditions. Malachi's simple reply, let's go. Chapter 42, long may you walk. Malachi proved to be equal to the heat. After 2 days of heading straight south and walking through the hill country, we descended into the desert. Then 5 days of relentless heat before we reached the first oasis. As we approached the oasis, we heard the hyenic laughter of what can only be described as young thugs. We were likely headed for trouble, but we weren't turning back. We needed desperately to obtain water from the oasis spring, and if necessary, we would administer tough love to do so. We were met with a pleasant surprise. The thugs had no interest in us. They were intensely involved in some kind of game that demanded all of their attention. Our curiosity was aroused as we got closer to them. We realized they were playing shuffleboard. One young man with spiked hair and tattoos was at the moment in the role of spectator. We asked him, when does shuffleboard arrive on Sigma 2? He looked at us with the beginnings of a grimace, but his countenance seemed to change when he answered our question. Well, old timers, I'll tell you. When I went to Sigma 3 on my annual gun and ammo buying trip, I bought this game instead. I said, I say you made a smart investment. He replied, you know, Governor, you may have something there. I'm starting to think that violence isn't always a virtue. Wow, who knew? Shuffleboard may be the key to galactic peace. Departing from the oasis, our water containers full, we proceeded to what used to be known as cattle country. Now it's just wasteland with cacti and tumbling tumbleweeds. Several times we came upon dried out water beds with the skeletal remains of cattle strewn over the nearby barren landscape. Eventually, we came to an area that wasn't totally desert. Rainfall must have been slightly higher here than the desert average, making it possible to grow different kinds of drought-resistant grains. We became more alert to the possibilities of stumbling upon a cow or two. We made a camp for the night. The sky was clear, and the shadow of Sigma 3 passed by us. Malachi says some people in Sigma 2 believe at certain times of the year and at certain times of the night, one can see the lights of Sigma Delta Pi, the capital city of Sigma 3. Later that night, tossing our sleeping bags on the ground, we heard a faint sound in the distance. Was that a moo?